One.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Sharon Florentine. Welcome to today's Security Boulevard webinar, How to Automate Security Policies to Further Accelerate CICD, brought to you by Twofin. We have an awesome webinar for you today, as usual, but before we get started, I need to go through some housekeeping items with you. First, please remember that this session is being recorded, so if you miss any or all of it, you'll be able to go back and watch it again. We will send you an email for accessing the webinar on demand, or you can always visit us at securityboulevard.com/webinars. It will be there for you as well. We are taking questions throughout the presentation, so you can use the Q&A tab on your console to submit those at any time, and we will try to get to as many as we can at the end of the presentation. Finally, stick around because we are doing a drawing for 4 $25 Amazon gift cards, so stay tuned to see if you are a winner. All right, so with that, I am pleased to introduce to you today Jonathan Campbell, cloud security expert with Twofin. I'm going to turn my camera and microphone off and let Jonathan take it away.
Great. Thank you, Sharon. So hello and welcome to this webinar on how to automate security policies and further accelerate CICD. As Sharon said, my name is Jonathan Campbell. I'm a cloud security expert here at Twofin. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the challenges that the current manual approach to network security in the cloud poses and how Twofin's automated approach to this can help solve this problem. I'll also talk to you a little about who we are and our approach to this problem and provide a short demo where you'll be able to see all of this in action. I hope that we also have some time at the end for questions, so please feel free to type those into the chat and we'll try and get to those. Twofin is the security policy company. The types of policy that we manage are network policies, who can talk to whom and what can talk to what on the network. We were founded in 2005 and went public in 2019 and have over 2,000 customers, managing some of the largest networks in the world. I'd like to start by talking about some of the challenges that we see companies like yours facing every day. Twofin Orchestration Suite provides a policy-centric solution for unifying visibility, compliance, and automation of network security policies across the hybrid environment. Our unified security policy empowers networks and IT security teams to effectively safeguard complex, heterogeneous environments through a central interface for defining and enforcing policy controls over firewalls, switches, software-defined networks, private and public cloud platforms, and Kubernetes, down to any level of segmentation. From applications to containers to firewalls, the suite provides advanced automation capabilities to increase business agility, improve accuracy through the elimination of manual errors, and ensure continuous compliance through a single console. The main problem that we're seeing is that security is being seen as a huge blocker to the developer productivity. The developers live in a very agile world, building their applications, spinning up and tearing down pods in seconds, creating new connections, and generally doing what developers do best, creating an application from the initial concept as fast as they can, getting it promoted through the build, test, staging, UAT phases, and ultimately into production. The problem arises, however, when they go through all of these stages of the CI/CD pipeline without any guardrails in place. Security's first sight of the application is at the point where it is ready to go into production. By this stage, there could be so many security issues that the application either needs to go through many hours or days or perhaps even weeks worth of checks, testing and retesting, or simply be scrapped altogether and rewritten. Security, therefore, is simply seen as a huge blocker to productivity. This issue cannot reside solely with the developers, though. The time it takes to manually create a security policy and then deploy it to the developers as guardrails can be prohibitively slow. One of the main reasons for this is a lack of visibility. A lack of visibility as to what the application is doing and also what it is connecting to. Essentially, What it is connecting to and who it is and to whom it is talking can not only be a difficult task to understand, but it can also be a laborious one. The only way then that this issue can be tackled is through automation. There is a desperate need for security to be as agile as the developers and to be able to create policy at speed where it remains secure but does not become a hindrance to productivity. One of my customers was talking about the pains they were going through with their current manual approach to security. As they had limited or no visibility as to what the developers were doing, they could not easily see when new connections were being added. They had two teams working in each areas of the CICD pipeline. Team A would create and test the code. This would then need to go to Team B for testing and verification. From here, each team would need to make sure that they had a security policy in place. This security policy could be hundreds or perhaps even thousands of lines of code and therefore could take a long time to produce. Once created, each team would upload their policies to their respective Git branches, where they would then validate the network policy before merging it into the master branch. Once this process was completed by both teams, they then had to deploy and test within the dev environment before then repeating the process in the production environment. Done manually, along with all of the iterative changes and corrections that were needed to the network policies, this was an untenable situation. They knew that automation was key to managing this. They needed a way to automatically detect new connections as they happened, to automatically generate new security policy, to be able to provide this policy fast, and to be able to use it as guardrails for their developers whilst not compromising their security or their agility. They also knew that this would bring the two siloed teams together. They needed the developers to not think of the security team as a blocker to their agility, and the security teams to be able to have visibility of what is talking to what and who is talking to whom in order to be able to create the network security policies that would require only small iterative changes and ultimately speed the deployment of new applications into production without compromising the security of the environment. The other benefit, though, of introducing security earlier into the process is that the behavior of the application is learnt. Not only can this be useful for understanding the application, but it can also be very useful for spotting when an application is not behaving as expected or as it should. This ability to spot anomalies is also vitally important, as it could be a sign of malicious activity. So let me tell you a little bit about Secure Cloud, our platform that enables collaboration between teams and enables shorter times to market for customers and faster security checks. Secure Cloud is a cloud-native and multi-cloud security posture management tool and the newest addition to the Twofin orchestration suite. The capabilities of the product will give you visibility and the ability to set guardrails and enforce compliance all without compromise. Secure Cloud gives visibility into public cloud assets and Kubernetes clusters running on premises and in the public cloud. It has an open API architecture to integrate vulnerability products to gain insight into security posture and best policy guardrail development. It also provides industry benchmarks in the form of the CIS benchmark and best practices alerts and suggestions. It also gives application views across public assets and Kubernetes clusters. You're able to establish security policy guardrails by automatically learning and generating native security policy for Kubernetes clusters. You can segment workloads for east-west as well as north-south traffic to reduce the attack surface in public cloud and create security policy across all environments, whether that's an on-premise, private cloud, or public cloud. This leads to continuous compliance with the ability to automate into the CI/CD pipeline with APIs. There are dashboards and reports for compliance and alerting to changes in the environment. Finally, we do all of this without compromise. There are no control planes or agents introduced to enforce security policy. which means there is no extra compute requirement or cluster bloat that drives performance down and the costs up. Cluster economics is something that is needed to be considered when deploying solutions, as the cost of running the security solution should not impact the cost of running the application itself. We use native API integration into the cloud automation pipelines to shift left the responsibility of security to the dev team. This in turn ensures that developer productivity. It also enhances investment in DevOps automation by not blocking its benefits and fixes security violations early and often in the overall SDLC. The overall benefit is that it ensures the business benefits of moving to the cloud computing are not compromised by slow moving security processes. It actually accelerates the migration of workloads to the cloud by eliminating security and compliance concerns. So now I'm going to pull all of this together and give you a little more perspective as I'm going to walk you through an example process where I will illustrate the potential of the APIs within Secure Cloud and also the power that automation has for enabling developers to remain agile and enable a shift left in security. Okay, so on my screen here, if I just describe what I have the Secure Cloud cluster graph view. So this is one of my clusters. It hosts an application called Generic Bank. And you can see here that it's organized by namespace, but I can also organize this either by the cluster view or, as I will do, I will not organize it at all so you can get the full view. I can zoom in and out, and I also can remain aware of where the context of the different elements are by using this bar at the bottom. In my upper window here, I'm going to show you as things change and things start to be created as part of the script. But for now, I'm going to run through this initial script. So it's going to use the APIs to run through a set of actions that ordinarily would have to be manually done. So if I run this first script, then you'll see that we're going to, first of all, connect to our cluster within Secure Cloud. And it's going to ask me for a few details first. So making sure that everything is secure, I'm going to connect to my tenant. It's going to ask for my project name, and my project name in this instance is called my project. And you can see that up here. Just before I carry on, you can see that you would have one cluster per project. In here, I have my project. I also have a test, but I could have many, many more projects. For now, and for the purpose of this demonstration, I will remain in my project cluster. So continuing that, it's asking for my credentials. And my password. Okay, so now it's confirming those details back to me and asking me if I wish to continue. So bear in mind, there are a lot of manual steps in this particular script because it enables me to show you what is going on. But you would run this normally as part of maybe a cron job, and it would be on a timer to make sure that it runs at maybe a specific time, or maybe it can be on a particular event. So if a change is made, it then runs. And so it's always providing the right details. What we've done here now is we've created a temporary directory called Campbell Systems My Project. That's based on the tenant name and the project name. And I can come to here and go Campbell Systems, and we can see that it has created this directory, which is currently empty because we've not done any more yet within the script. So if I allow that to continue, what it's going to do is it's going to reset all the connections. So within my cluster graph at the moment, you'll see that we have no new connections. Everything is currently sat in policy. But if I refresh this, we want to make sure that we're always starting at a level playing field. So now we are understanding what all of these connections are. And we can see that we've already got 20 new connections in the last 5 minutes. What we will do now is make sure that the product is in learn mode, so that it's learning all of the different aspects and all of the different connections. And now, very simply, it's going to exercise the application. So it exercises the customer part of the application and it exercises the admin part of the application. It's a simple banking application where the user can do a few things, check their balance, log in, create an account, that sort of thing. The purpose of the application is purely to generate traffic that Secure Cloud can then easily learn and enable you to understand. Okay. If I do a quick refresh on this page, we should see that in the last sort of 30 minutes, it started to create the policies already, which is good. So it's also asking me which namespaces I'm interested in. So at the moment, I have all namespaces ticked, and so everything is being seen. But what I'm going to actually look at is this default data and kube system. Why not stick with what we've already been suggested? So what that will do now is it will now pull that policy according to which bits that I'm interested in. It will then create a microsegmentation policy. So essentially it's moving all of those connections into policy, and it's now splitting that policy apart. So if I come into my folder again and do another ls, you'll see that it's now created all of these different policies. So these are based upon the rules that it's found within the network policy that we have created. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, if I move over to the policy over here, you'll see that we have all of these different connections that we've learned over the last 24 hours, 91 different connections in total. And you can see they're all in here. The reason we're only seeing a few in this particular folder is because I've picked out specific namespaces to keep the numbers down. Okay. Another good security tip is to rename the default namespace. Leaving it as default is a security risk because it's always there. Change it to something else is just good practice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply change that to my surname. I need to say yes first to that, obviously. And now I'm going to change it to Campbell. Okay, so now we've created these policies, and you can see if I just do an ls on there again, you'll see all the default ones have gone, and we now have a folder with Campbell, data, and kube system. I'll show you more when we get into GitHub itself, but it's now asking me, do I want to upload this to GitHub? So I'm going to say yes to that. It's going to ask me for my username and password and my SSH token key. Here we go. And that's okay. And it's asking me for a README context, some text for the README. So let's do that again. And I'll press enter on that. Okay, so it's now asking me, do I wish to create a new repo? So I'm going to say yes, because this is the first time that I've run this. So this is a new project, new application. And what would I like to call it? Well, I'm going to keep it the same as my actual project up here. So I'm going to call it my project. Before I click enter on that, I want to show you that within my GitHub repository, you'll see that I only have 3 repositories at the moment: a generic bank one, a test egress, and a secure cloud one. Okay, when I press enter on this, it's going to start to create all of these different elements, and there we go, we're done. If I do a refresh on here, you'll see that it has now created a new repo. If I come into here, you'll see that we have the Campbell, the data, and the kube system. We also have the README file that I created and the full policy in total. I can drill into here and we can see all of these different elements that we're seeing. And again, I can click on any of these and get to the actual rules themselves. But now what I want to do is I want to run through that script again. But this time I will run through the version that doesn't have all of the different stops in it. And so, yes, it's going to ask me for some of the details, but the purpose of showing you this again, one second, is to show you that you're able to very easily keep on top of the latest changes. Make sure I've spelled that correctly. So I've got all my details there to confirm, and I'm going to say, yes, I wish to continue. So now it's running through all of the different elements, exactly the same as before. It's going to ask me which ones I want to look at. So I'm going to pick the exact same one so that we can get a uniform result. Okay, so it's now pulling that policy, it's creating it into, splitting it out into different segments based on the rules within that policy. Do I wish to rename the default? Yes, I do. I want to do exactly the same as before and call it Campbell. And yes, I do want to upload this to GitHub again. So my key. And I will have a slightly different context this time. Different README content. Okay, and do I wish to create a new repo? In this instance, no, I don't. I want to make sure that everything goes into the same repo. So it's listing for me all of the different repositories that I've got. So I'm going to simply select the one I created the last time I ran this and let it run through. So the various different things have been done. If I come back to my screen here, you'll see, if I click back into my repository, you'll see that it's now been updated. I have the additional text in my README just for demo purposes. And again, I can drill into here and you can see that I have the first policy version and I have the updated policy version. Now, in an ideal world, what this would next do is it would do some form of diff to check if there are any changes between the updated and the first created policy, and then leave only the most recent policy in the folder. The developers then can very easily draw down from the repositories the guardrails that they need and they need to work to that particular day. Now, as I said before, this is the exact scenario that we've had from several of our customers, and the one that I just spoke about specifically, doing this particular type of work, and again, for their environment, means that they will be able to automate what is currently a very laborious manual process. Okay, so with that, I will go back to my presentation. Okay, let me just move this forward. Okay. So having seen all that, and maybe you're concerned about the lack of automation within your own environment, and maybe it's slowing down your organization's productivity, and maybe you're lacking in visibility. Well, then that you can always try the Secure Cloud Security Assessment. Now, the purpose of the security assessment is to give you instant visibility into your cloud or Kubernetes environments. As soon as you connect, you're going to get a report for things like overly permissive policies, risky ports, and specifically the CIS benchmark. You'll get a graphical view of the environment, which you can drill down into and filter for risks. And it will also be able to give you guidance on how to remediate those challenges too. There is an assessment guide which will guide you through all of the setup steps so that you can run this by yourself. It gives you those step-by-step instructions on how to set up the cloud environment, how to understand the information that's being provided, and how to define those initial policies. It will even show you how to create how to create the continuous compliance process, and also how to automate this process. And this is very simply available today. All you need to do is go to twofin.com, try-secure cloud. So finally, I'd like to summarize what we've discussed here today. Through leveraging the inbuilt APIs and adopting a shift-left strategy with Secure Cloud, you're able to greatly accelerate the time to market for your applications, whilst also dramatically improving your security posture. By removing the manual security checks and introducing security in smaller, bite-sized chunks earlier into the process, you're able to eliminate large security delays late in the development cycle. The shifting left of security to earlier within the pipeline means that any changes that need to be made by the developers can be done sooner, which will lead to a faster development time. And, of course, by automating the policy corrections and making them available via repos, means that the developers can always have the most up-to-date security guardrails at their disposal. The overall effect of this is that security and development teams can work more closely, meaning that they will meet their security and compliance needs without impacting the agility of the application development. So with that, I would like to thank you for your time, and I hope that you found this webinar useful. And I shall now see if we have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. That was awesome. All right. We've got plenty of questions, so hope you are ready.
Okay.
All right. First, let's start with which security method do you feel is more secure to protect CICD from current attacks?
That's a very,
That's a tough
very
one.
open question. Yeah, you couldn't start me with an easy one. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So this question is a very good question, but it is a little bit out of scope of what Secure Cloud is trying to do. So Secure Cloud is not trying to help protect the pipeline itself. It's trying to help protect the applications that the developers are creating. And I talked specifically about network security policy. Now, absolutely, that is only just one part of the puzzle. You know, you need to do things like image scanning and continuously scan for those images as they're in use and so on. So image scanning and looking at securing the actual applications with the network policy are just two small features or two parts of the puzzle. So which is more secure? It's difficult to say. We need, for the purpose of Secure Cloud, we are trying to focus much more on just the network security part of it, for the who is talking to whom and the what is talking to what. Okay.
Gotcha. All right.
Are there any
So
more?
let's see what else. How much here we go. I will make up for that hardball with the softball. How much does the assessment cost?
Uh, it's free, absolutely free. All you need to do is go to the website I mentioned, twofin.com/try-secure cloud. There's a couple of sign up procedures that you need to run through. It basically asks for your name and contact details. And then, literally within 5 to 10 minutes, you can not only have created your secure cloud account, but you can have easily connected a cluster, or you can have easily have connected a public cloud account and be getting all of that rich information. I focused today purely on looking at the Kubernetes part of the product, but as I said, sort of as part of the presentation, it will guide you through not only public cloud for AWS, Azure, and GCP, but also for your Kubernetes clusters. So there are videos on our website that talk you through how to connect a cluster. There are how to connect to your different cloud vendors, and then you will see all of the rich information within the dashboard. And again, all of that could easily be done within about 10 minutes, and it's absolutely free. You'll get a 30-day license with that as well, so you can use it in earnest, and no features restricted for those 30 days.
Very cool. And so how is Secure Cloud delivered?
Okay, Secure Cloud is a SaaS product, so it's we currently all you need to do, as I say, is go to the website and connect to it, and then it's just all accessible via a browser. So yes, we deliver the whole product as a SaaS product.
Okay. All right, let's see. And how is it licensed?
So Secure Cloud is licensed in two ways, both subscription licenses. One relates to the public cloud piece. So you will buy a 12-month subscription, and that is based on the number of assets that you have in use within your public cloud environment, and they are sold in packs of 100. So it's a 12-month subscription and 100 assets. For the Kubernetes part, it's based on the number of worker nodes. Again, a 12-month subscription, and it's based on packs of 25 worker nodes. So you would then buy multiples depending on how many you need to license.
Okay, gotcha. Let's scroll through here. Do you have to use the console or can you use APIs?
So good question, and I think I demonstrated that with using the the browser window to show you where the different elements were, and I clicked on a few different things as they were being created. But you can use the APIs to generate all of this, or you can use the user interface of the browser itself and generate the YAML, and then obviously you can do what you like with it. You can download it and then use your own scripting skills to do what you need with that. But yes, you are not locked into one or the other.
Okay. All right. Do you see, or are you seeing this particular use case frequently? I assume that means the use case like you demonstrated in the demo.
Yes, yeah. So that, I mean, that's a really good question. So yes, we speak to more and more customers that are looking to automate their environment. So we see this a lot, and many of them haven't yet taken that step to fully leverage the power of the pipeline. They're not necessarily leveraging all of the automation features that are there, but they see a definite need for it as their businesses grow and as their applications grow. They see that in order to be able to keep up and make sure they're secure, they have to automate.
Okay. All right. And let's see. So finally, is the script available for customers?
The script that I just showed, not really. I mean, we can certainly help with that. This is just sorry, not really. This is a simple bash script that I created to demonstrate the power of the APIs, and it is specific to our demo environment. I mean, it could be, it could easily be leveraged, and I have no problem sharing it with people that need it. But it is essentially using the APIs. I'm still sharing my screen. You should be able to see. I opened up the API screen here. I meant to show it. You can go to the APIs here. You can very easily connect to your environment. So once you've set one up, you simply put your account details in here, and then you can start to choose whichever one you want. So I use a lot of the cluster ones down here. So maybe I wanted to get the rules from the connection. So this is one that I specifically used. You say try it out, fill in the details, and click execute. And that can actually connect to your environment and do what you need it to do. You don't have to do it in a script in the way that I did it, but you have the options to do that in here. Okay.
Okay. All right, folks. Well, that covers all of the questions we have so far. I am going to go ahead and draw our Amazon gift card winners, but please don't let me deter you. If you still have questions, go ahead and shoot them my way, and we will pose them to Jonathan here. So our first Amazon gift card winner is Paul P. Congratulations to Paul. Our next winner is Steve F. Our next winner is Melissa H. And our fourth winner is Sophie M. Congratulations to our Amazon winners today. We will send you an email with instructions for claiming your gift card, so keep an eye on your inbox. If you don't see it there, please check your spam folders. Oh, and look, we have a question that just came in. Is it possible to, Jonathan, is it possible to use this with multi-cloud architectures and serverless apps instead of Kubernetes-based ones?
So yes and no. So you can use this in a multi-cloud architecture. So yes, there are many APIs that are available. You can, from either the public cloud part, we support AWS, Azure, GCP. And from a Kubernetes part, again, we support whether it's managed, so through Azure, AWS, or GCP, or even if it's on-prem through something like OpenShift. Excuse me. But your question there includes serverless. We don't currently support serverless. That is something that we are looking to as part of the roadmap. But for now, it's all Kubernetes based or the 3 cloud vendors that I currently mentioned.
Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry to be jumping back and forth.
It's okay.
And thanks for sending that question in. All right, folks. Great. So if you, sorry, I need to remind you that this session has been recorded. So if you missed any or all of it, you will be able to go back and watch it again. We'll send an email with instructions for accessing it on demand. And yes, we will also be sending you a copy of the slide presentation that you can have for reference. All right. Well, that about does it for me. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for your presentation and your insight here into these questions. Thank you so much to the audience for joining us today, and we hope to see you again soon at another Security Boulevard webinar. I
Thank
am
you very
Karen
much.
Florentine, signing off.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.